Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jeff from BKJmacTV, and this is the BKJmac Podcast Experience. I'm here to tell you this is season 2, episode 27, and today we're going to be talking about the movie Heat from 1995. Yes, I'm saying it, 1995. This movie is pretty awesome. It's pretty dope. It stars Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer. This movie has interesting twists and turns, a lot of emotion, a lot of built-up emotions that start from Act 1 all the way to the culmination of these actions in Act 3. It's something that you can't take your eyes off of. It's something you enjoy. It's something that, that's sort of like eye moving in a sense. Heat 19 from 1995. I'm doing the review from an article written from one of the greatest film critics of all times. He passed away a couple of years ago. His name is Roger Ebert. You probably know him from Siskel and Ebert, the two movie critics that basically sat in a movie theater, watched the movie, and they made popular the thumbs up, thumbs down, where basically if the movie was good or the movie was bad, and they would have their opinions on the movie. So both of them passed away, but I remember watching the shows when I was a kid, and I remember I always wanted to know what their opinions were in the movie because I cherished it a lot. So now I'm using Roger Ebert's opinion on Heat, and that's the article we're going to be using in order to talk about this episode on this podcast. So here we go. He starts off with, there is a sequence at the center of Michael Mann's Heat that illuminates the movie's real subject. As it begins, a Los Angeles police detective named Hannah, played by Al Pacino, has been tracking a high-level theft named Macaulay, played by Robert De Niro, for days. Macaulay is smart and wary and seems impossible to trap. So one evening, tailing Macaulay's car, Hannah turns on the flashers and pulls him over. Macaulay carefully shifts the loaded gun he is carrying. He waits in his car. Hannah approaches it and says, "What do you say I buy you a cup of coffee?" Macaulay says, "That sounds like a good idea." It was interesting. That movie was interesting. The two men sit across from each other at a diner. Middle-aged, weary, with too much experience in their lines of work, they know exactly what they represent to one another. But for this moment of truth, they drink their coffee. Macaulay is a professional thief, skilled and gifted. When Hannah subtly suggests otherwise, he says, "You see, me doing thrill-seeker liquor store holdups with a born-to-lose tattoo on my chest? No," says the cop. He doesn't. The conversation comes to an end. The cop says, "I don't know how to do anything else," the thief says. "Neither do I." The scene concentrates the truth of Heat, which is that these cops and these robbers need each other. They occupy the same space, sealed off from the mainstream of society, defined by its own rules, which I agree. The robbers have their lives, they have their issues they gotta deal with while coming up with these sophisticated robberies, while the cops, the detectives, have to work hard, come together to try to stop these thieves, but also how these issues of trying to stop these thieves and these criminals interfere with their personal lives and their relationships. That's the heat that it puts on these two individual lives. It's one of the things that Michael Mann, the director of this movie from 1995, is able to illustrate quite well in this film. So it really showcases the lives of these individuals from their point of views and from their career, from their respective careers. I mean, Mr. Mann, is really able to show you their lives, to sympathize with their lives, not to romanticize it, but to really sympathize with it, to show that, man, this thing is just like, whoa, it's heat. Honestly, it's hot. It's really hot, and at times it gets really, really hot. Anyway, They are enemies, but in a sense, they are more intimate, more involved with each other than with those who are supposed to be friends. They're women, for example. The movie's other subject is the women. Two of the key players in Heat have wives, and in the course of the movie, Macaulay will fall in love, which is against his policy. Hannah is working on his third marriage with a woman named Justice, who is bitter because his job obsesses him. You live among the remains of dead people. One of Macaulay's crime partners is a thief named Shilgers Valka, whose wife is Charlene Ashley Judd. Macaulay's own policy is never to get involved in anything that he can't shed in 30 seconds flat. One day in a restaurant, he gets into a conversation with Addie, who asks him a lot of questions. Lady, he says to her, "Why are you so interested in what I do?" She is lonely. "I am alone," he tells her. "I am not lonely." He is in fact the loneliest man in the world and soon finds that he needs her. So basically, I remember this scene in the movie. He's been robbing for so long. He's been crafting these robberies for so many years that he's never given an opportunity to find love, to hold somebody's hands, to kiss anybody. And he's always made quick exits out of potential relationships. But then he realizes during this last major score that he needs it. He needs love. And that's one of the reasons he falls for this woman so badly, because he needs Edie in a sense. Robert De Niro's character needs Edie. He needs that completion in him, and that gives him that satisfaction. Let's see. This is the age-old conflict in American action pictures between the man with man's work and the female's principle. The woman who wants to tame him wants him to stay at home. Heat, with an uncommonly literate screenplay by Mann, handles it with insight. The men in his movie are addicted to their lives. There is a scene where the thieves essentially have all the money they need. They can retire. Macaulay even has a place picked out in New Zealand, but another job presents itself and they cannot resist it. It's the juice, it's the action. The movie intercuts these introspective scenes with big bravado sequences of heists and shootouts. It opens with a complicated armored car robbery involving stolen semis and tow trucks. It continues with meticulously conceived bank robbery. The bank robbery was well conceived the way they did it, but eventually it was a member of their crew that basically he gets away, that basically ruins Macaulay's last hustle. Because if that guy did not ruin it, let's be honest, Macaulay and his gang would have gone away scot-free, and they would have did it miraculously without hurting anybody. They would have just dipped out, because they were so sophisticated in their robbery attempt of the bank. Macaulay is the mastermind. Hannah is the guy assigned to guess his next move. The cops keep Macaulay and his crew under 24-hour surveillance, and one day follow them to an isolated warehouse area where the thieves stand in the middle of a vast space, and Macaulay outlines some plan to them. Later, the cops stand in the same place trying to figure out what plan the thieves could possibly have had in mind. No target is anywhere in view. Suddenly, Hannah gets it. You know what they're looking at? They're looking at us, the LAPD. We just got made. He is right. Macaulay is now on the roof looking at them through a lens, having smoked out his tail. Macaulay, let me tell you, this character was so smart, so sophisticated. He's not your typical bank robber. He is so sophisticated in his attempts and his operations. Like, it gives criminals who attempt to do these things a amateurish look. He's on a different level, and it takes one big time cop, a smart time cop, to be able to take him down, because this guy Macaulay is so skilled. He's so skilled at what he's doing. De Niro and Pacino, veterans of so many great films in the crime genre, have by now spent more time playing cops and thieves than most cops and thieves that have. There's always talk about how actors study people to base their characters on. At this point in their careers. If Pacino and De Niro go out to study a cop or a robber, it's likely the subject will have modeled himself on their performances in old movies. There's absolute precision of effect here, the feeling of roles assumed instinctively. What is interesting is the way man tests these roles with the women. The wives and girlfriends in this movie are always, in a sense, standing at the kitchen door, calling to the boys to come in from their play. Pacino's wife, played by Riona, with a smart bitterness, is the most unforgiving. She is married to a man who brings corpses into bed with him in his dreams. Her daughter, rebellious and screwed up, is getting no fathering from him. Their marriage is a joke, and when he catches her with another man, she accurately says he forced her to demean herself. Yep, that scene. It was just a complicated scene. You know, she felt justified to cheat on Pacino's character, Hannah, because she felt that she wasn't getting no attention from her husband. And she has a point. You know, she wasn't getting it, but she wasn't getting no attention. But she knew what she signed up for. Her husband is a detective who investigates homicides. He can't be peachy clean and be happy. He sees gruesome things every single day. So for her to expect him to be happy all the time was pretty sad. But it's the kind of thing that Mr. Mann was able to bring out in the character. That aspect of the woman in the relationship, and especially in Heat. She was putting the heat on Pacino's character, and Pacino's job was putting the heat on her and the marriage, to the point where she had to cheat on him. So it was the heat. The heat was the heat. And honestly, it was intense. It was very, very intense. Going forward into the movie, as there's a guy who I don't like in the movie, who Robert De Niro's character let to get away because there was a cop car coming by. He causes a lot of things, and I think he messes up everything, and which he did. He messes up Macaulay's last hustle, and things go awry. The movie came out in 1995. I don't know if anybody's planning to see it. I hope you do see it. There's an ending in the movie with the crew. There's 4 members of the crew. 4 members that start out the film. Then there's only one left that survives. When you watch the movie, you'll see who survives in the end. And the way this per character is able to survive is pretty interesting. It's very, very interesting. Tune into the movie. And there's also another scene where De Niro's character has a chance to get away, and he has the money, he has the flight, he has the girl, and he chooses to leave it in order to settle one final score. When you watch the movie, you'll know what final score I'm talking about, and you tell me, is he really stupid for doing that? Because honestly, I think he was stupid for doing that. For what? Maybe in a sense he was getting the heat on this character that had betrayed him, and that caused all these issues to begin with. Because Macaulay's a very carefully skilled robber. So you tell me if you think Macaulay's actions are stupid, because I honestly think they were stupid. Hannah's character, Detective Hannah wants him badly, and in a sense, does he get him? Well, you'll have to see. You have to find out. But Heat is a really good movie. I enjoyed it so much. Definitely give it a thumbs up. And stay tuned for more reviews, more in-depth reviews about this movie and movies of this type in this genre, crime drama. Michael Mann did a good job in this movie. Enjoyed it a lot. You'll definitely enjoy it. Promise you that. Thank you for listening to this review on the movie Heat 1995 by BKJmac from BKJmacTV. Thank you for listening. Peace, love, always one.